I am Christ, I am Disciple, and you're watching my stream. And we're going to talk about Restore the Snyderverse, as you can see from the title. The only way to save DC. It was a lot of times when I heard the DCU needs saving. Who's going to save the DCU? I remember they talking about Jeff Johns will save the DCU. Zack Snyder's Murderverse. I remember them talking about how, Walter Hamada will save the DCEU. And then we had The Rock will save the DCEU. And then they talk about James Gunn saving the DCU with Peter Safran. It's really interesting to me that at a moment when the DCU really needs saving, because we've just had box after box after box after box after box office flop, no one's saying that anymore. We've seen recently glimpses of, shall we say, reveals of Superman and Clark Kent. And it's not a divided fan base. Most of the fans, most of the DC fans out there don't like what they're seeing. And the irony of the situation is all of the complaints out there about, Zack Snyder's Superman too grim and dark, and Zack Snyder's Superman is not my Superman, and Superman is bright, and Superman has humor and heart and funny. All of a sudden, all of that's gone way out the window when Warner Brothers is giving you what you want. From the beginning, the critiques was that DC's not Marvel, and you should have 7 and 8 different films before you have a come together film and all this nonsense. Well, now you're getting what you want. Now you're getting the Superman you wanted all along. You wanted a Superman that's smiling. You wanted a Superman with bright colors. You wanted a Superman with the trunks. How you doing, Leroy Kong? Leroy Kong in the building. Shout out to you, Leroy. Henry Cavill all the way. Oh, right. And Leroy Kong's a true DC fan. He's not a Snyder fan. He's a DC fan. He watches everything DC. And Leroy Kong's not interested in what James Gunn is doing. I want to know your input, Leroy Kong, on this. How do you find Clark Kent looked? The image of Clark Kent that we got with that big old fluffy set of stuff in the front of his head. One DC fan came out and said, Gunn fan actually, he said that Gunn's the first director to actually give so Leroy Kong says bad. Why Arc 9? I don't know who you are, but whatever. He has a Superman logo, so he's probably a Superman fan. He said, hold on, why Arc 9? Let me see if I can get you. If you can say something else. Zack Snyder failed DC. Leroy Kong says a huge downgrade. Why Arc 9 says, so move on. Why don't you move on, Why Arc 9? You're still there with Zack Snyder. You're still talking about Zack Snyder. You need to move on. You should be excited talking about James Gunn stuff. You're not. You're here on my channel where you see big old fat Restore the Snyderverse. You need to move on. We're fine. We happy doing what we doing. Apparently you are not happy that we're doing this. You need to move on. Smash the like button, people. Don't forget to smash the like button. Leroy Kong comes back, and there's a real DC fan up in here. I'm not saying real DC fans can't have differences of opinion, but he says Zack Snyder got it right. It's kind of obvious now, right, Leroy? It's kind of obvious now. Everybody's seeing it. You remember when Justice League 2017 came out, and when Zack Snyder's Justice League came out after that, everybody realized Zack had the better plan. He had the better idea. Okay? I've been saying this from day one. Okay? I tried to make excuses and rationalize for Justice League. Leroy Kong says James Gunn fails. I know, bro. I know he's failing. We can see it. Everybody's seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. Okay? Everybody's seeing it. Let me get to it. Why Arc 9 says the suit looks good, Rachel. Look like Superman, the animated series. Hold on, bro. Can keep you. Oh, man. It disappeared on me again. I don't know what this is for. What's this in the corner? Oh, live chat. Okay. There you go. The suit looks good, Rachel. Looked like Superman, the animated series, Lois and I, like she was rooking her purple look. Leaky's live stream says hi. What's up, Leaky's live stream? We got 3 people in the building. We got Leroy Kong, Leaky's live stream. We got YARC9. Shout out to everybody. Much love to everybody out here. You guys express your opinions. It's all cool. I'm not mad at y'all. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But what I would say to you guys is, you know, as a DC fan myself, though I'm an older DC fan, I'm much older than you guys probably, except for Leroy. I would say this. I would say that what I've seen so far, even the staunchest of DC fans are having difficulty. Even the gun fans are having difficulty defending this. I saw a serious gun fan on Twitter. This kid be praising everything that's not Zack Snyder, right? And he was perplexed when he saw the first image of Superman. And I told y'all, Gunn is trying to come from a poor man's, you know, underdog version of Superman. I pretty much feel that. But my God, Clark Kent, oh my God. Tyrone Magnus pretty much summing it up. And Tyrone Magnus is not like, he's a Snyder fan, but he's not really like, you know, like us, like the people who are pushing for restore the Snyderverse. And even some people who are criticizing James Gunn right now. But oh my God, what was that? What was that for Clark Kent? And they try to rationalize it by saying, Leaky's live stream says, Henry Cavill is my Superman. Shout out to Leaky's live stream. Don't forget to smash the like button, people. I know you can't find the like button. I know. I wish I could help you here, but I don't really know. I think it's in the right-hand corner of the screen there. You click those 3 dots on the right-hand corner of the screen, and then you go into the description. You can click the like button. Now, if you got a different kind of setup where you could just click the like button below this stream, do it, please. That would be very nice. Leroy Khan says, great live. Take care. James Gunn, you a failed DC. Man, listen, I got to say this. And the YARC stream, I'm sorry, bro. You know, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. Maybe you like what you're seeing. Maybe it's a young people thing. I don't know. But God damn, that hairstyle looks stupid. All right. Now, some people say Gunn got it right. You know, he's the first guy to, you know, actually create a character of Clark Kent that, you know, seems to make sense that, you know, people don't see him as Superman. But actually, you know, if you look at my profile picture there, Henry Cavill went into Times Square for the preview of Batman v Superman. He just popped up in Times Square and he was just chilling underneath the Batman v Superman banner with his image on the screen as Superman. And he was dressed up in a Superman. He had a Superman t-shirt on. And people were just passing him by. Now, of course, people didn't know who Henry Cavill was. He's now something that's a household name. But, you know, people were just passing by. Now, they had seen him on the screen in Man of Steel, but still, people were passing him by. And the reason is you can be hidden in plain sight when people don't expect you to be in a particular place. Right? It's all about expectations. Have you ever passed someone and then as you pass them, you're saying, that's somebody I know. You know what I'm saying? In your head, you're saying, that's somebody I know. And you double take, you go back to the person and you talk to them and you realize it really is somebody you know. You just didn't expect them to be around that area. Well, nobody expects Superman. Nobody expects Superman to be a common everyday guy. And if you do read the comics, you would know that Clark Kent was a mild-mannered reporter. This is how it was from Superman comic book #1 when he saved Lois Lane. He was known as a mild-mannered reporter. That's what distinguished. Clark Kent blended into society. Okay? He wasn't trying to stand out like a clown. The person who did that was Christopher Reeve. He was doing a parody of Clark Kent, because the versions of Clark Kent we saw on TV, we never see them in the film, but on TV we saw, and in animated film, sorry, my bad. We had some short films in the 1940s of Clark Kent was always played straight. He wasn't played like a comedian. He wasn't played like a clown, you know. But Christopher Reeves, he did a sort of goofy, clownish version of Clark Kent. You know, Clark Kent was a great reporter. He always got the story. In fact, he got the story sometimes over Lois Lane. and she was kind of jealous of him. That's how the original. This is how the original Superman was. Okay. Now later on, Christopher Reeve brought this comical element. Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve brought this comical element about Clark Kent, this goofy comical element about Clark Kent into it. But as I think Tyrone Magnus said, he's not really a great fan of Dean Cain, who played in Superman and Lois, which was a kind of comedy thing. But Dean Cain kind of played the straight guy, and the lady, I forgot what her name is, she kind of played the comical element, but it was more romantic. But Dean Cain played Superman straight. You know, Tom Welling in Smallville played Superman straight, even though he was not Superman much. There was a couple episodes where he was Superman, he wore the suit. It was more when he was Clark Kent. Played Clark Kent anyway, straight. Henry Cavill played Clark Kent straight. What's his name? Brandon Roth played Clark Kent kind of goofy as well. The goofy Clark Kent, the clumsy, you know, seemed to be out of his element Clark Kent. But because he was supposed to be the continuation of Christopher Reeve's Superman, Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent. That's why he played it that way. When you look at Lewis and Superman and Lewis, that Clark Kent played it straight again. But it looks like what James Gunn is going to do is play a much more modern day, hip, poor guy, but funny version of Clark Kent. So it looks like he's going back into the theatrics, Clark Kent's theatrics that Christopher Reeve borrowed from. And once again, I'm not one of those people, even though I have critiques of what James Gunn is doing and so on, I'm not just going to just bash James Gunn. I don't do that on this channel. You notice I don't bash James Gunn. A lot of people think it was bad, what they saw, the first impressions of Superman so far. They have not gotten really pleasant. It didn't really move the needle either way. You know, James Gunn, generally, when you look at his characters, the way how they are arrayed, the outfits, how they are arrayed. Leaky's live stream says, oh, Arc9 says, James Gunn, he's taking a lot of inspiration from Richard Donner. Let me tell you something. There's only one Richard Donner, if you understand what I'm saying. I know James Gunn is James Gunn. I know James Gunn's going to do an ensemble film, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, Part 5. Right? Because the Suicide Squad was like Guardians of the Galaxy Part 4. And then you had Guardians of the Galaxy Part 5, which would probably be the Superman movie. So let me just lay out the script of how I think James Gunn's going to approach this so you guys can get it. James Gunn's going to come from an underdog Superman, coming from a very poor background, because James Gunn came from trailer parks. So he's going to tell his story, as he's always told his story in the characters. You're going to expect a sort of semi-flawed Superman. You're going to expect a Superman who is sometimes overwhelmed with challenges before him because he's just a human being. So he's going to borrow elements from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. He's going to borrow elements from Richard Donner's stuff. But by and large, you even saw Superman with his hands behind his back, handcuffed behind his back, with soldiers on either side of him and some other guy there. So it looks like he got arrested for something. I don't know what. So James Gunn is actually building a story where he's trying to be as relatable with Superman as possible. Like you guys said, this is like My Adventures with Superman, crossover with, you know, Richard Donner Superman. And he's borrowing different elements from different places. So this is what I see James Gunn doing. Just like Kick-Ass, I think James Gunn, he doesn't really elaborate on costuming because he thinks superheroes are stupid in the sense of how they look. He thinks of them as colorful clowns. So the way how Superman looks, James Gunn doesn't put too much merit into it. And he doesn't take the costuming so seriously. And you can see it in the Suicide Squad with the flaming colors and everything. You know, he's not trying to ground the characters in that. He's not trying to make them look grounded characters. He's really totally airy-fairy, make-believe. Who gives a fuck, right? That's the way how he does his things. And it's the same application to Superman you're seeing here, okay? So like a lot of people are going into the costuming and stuff. Don't go into that. James Gunn's going to do this movie the way James Gunn can do a movie. He's not going to do the movie some other way. So what you guys are going to see, and that will turn off a lot of you guys, because a lot of you guys came from the realism of Superman. A lot of you guys came from the realism of what Henry Cavill's Superman is, and a more grounded Superman. And a lot of you, including myself, love that grounded version. In fact, Superman and Lewis, took from that. They took from that grounded Superman, and they tried to make a TV series out of it, and everybody really loved it. X-Men '97. The reason X-Men '97 is so good is because, again, borrowed from Man of Steel, this grounded, more realistic sort of stakes, people can die kind of thing, right? I love those kinds of movies. That's my thing. I like things with real stakes. I don't really like seeing people dress up like clowns. In fact, there is I actually put it up on Twitter, a picture of a clown with a big P on his chest. We call him Pedo Man. When you look at that clown with the big P on his chest, and you look at James Gunn's version of Superman, they look the same. They got the same belt. They got the same big trunks. I mean, it's crazy how similar they are. But it shows you James Gunn's mindset. He thinks of Superman as a clown. He thinks of these fictitious characters as unrealistic. But he's going to tell you a story about these unrealistic fairy tales, and he's going to try and give some substance to that story. That's how James Gunn will approach this. So that's his take. Now, whether his take will resonate with the audience that wants to go see it, or will resonate with people who want to go see this movie, is another story. Okay. He's getting pushback from a lot of DC fans. A lot of DC fans right now are butthurt. They're really hurt that this guy's even leading DC. They're really hurt what he did, how he fired Henry Cavill, how he fired Ben Affleck, these beloved people who were doing beloved characters. And then on top, and because the fans were begging for a Henry Cavill Superman movie, okay? And on top of that, now the guy seems to be like, it seems almost like he's throwing shots at every single DC fan, hurting their feelings, because it's like, what are you doing? This is not, okay, we asked for a bright, sunny Superman. Why can't you just do a bright, sunny Superman? You know what I'm saying? And keep him serious. And then, almost everything James Gunn does, a lot of DC fans don't like it. All right? And that's because, again, he's trying to do something different. He's trying to do something, he's trying to reshape the wheel in a way that he thinks is contemporary. And this is his best shot at it. This is what he's trying to do. But he's ticking off DC fans. DC fans are becoming like Star Wars fans. They're getting ticked off. They're getting pissed off about a lot of stuff. And as much as I just explained where I think James Gunn is coming from the stuff that you see, and some of you guys are going to be like, okay, I can see what you're saying. I gotta let you guys know, James Gunn's going to do James Gunn. So if you don't like James Gunn stuff, you're probably not going to like the Superman movie. If you didn't like the Suicide Squad, if you didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy, you're not going to like the Superman movie. For Marvel fans who liked James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxy, some of them are going to reach out and look at this project and say, okay, maybe I can take this in. Now, if they don't like it, it's over. Because he's trying to cross over DC to Marvel. The whole goal of Warner Brothers is to get DC and Marvel in the same universe. Okay, this is what they're trying to do. And they're making the DC characters as wacky as possible. So this shit is not my thing. I'm just gonna tell y'all right now. I checked out a long time ago. When I heard James Gunn was doing a Superman movie, I already checked out. But I'm trying to be somebody just looking at it analytically with no feelings and just giving you guys what I think James Gunn is doing. But I long since check out of this, because Guardians of the Galaxy is a wacky movie. The reason why James Gunn works with Guardians of the Galaxy is because, one, we didn't really know who the characters were. And this was a new take on sort of superheroes in a wacky way. We've seen superheroes in a wacky way before. Batman and Robin. We've seen it with Batman 1966. So we've seen this before. But what I'm saying is James Gunn kind of took it and went like Muppet Show version on everybody. You know what I'm saying? He got super wacky, and now he even cussing and swearing and stuff with Suicide Squad and the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He's trying to go like, rated R, right? And so with that, it's such an uphill battle for this dude. This dude is an uphill battle right now. Warner Brothers stock is still way below $8. The stock is just dragging, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna go down to 5. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna go down to 5. I don't know if they'll have to sell, and I'm sure they won't want to sell to Disney because they want to try and do that crossover movie. And now the thing about it is, see, they're trying to appeal to the Marvel fans, to get the Marvel fans excited about DC, but the Marvel fans are not excited about DC. They're excited about Marvel. They're Marvel fucking fans. And I wish freaking Warner Brothers would get that. They don't care about DC. They're Marvel fans. We have some fans, and they're in the minority, like Leroy Kong, who like Marvel and DC. But by and large, the majority of fans that go watch DC films like DC. They don't like Marvel, okay? And the majority of Marvel fans that go to watch Marvel like Marvel. They don't like DC. And it's not going to change anytime soon, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Which means you ticking off the DC fan base is not a good thing. Okay? DC's in the trash right now. It's in the trash. They're only putting out trash. Ain't nobody expecting anything of this movie, the Superman movie, because they've had 7 years of trash. The only thing in between that trash that was somewhat redeeming was the Batman movie, because we have Batman fans. And then we also had the Joker movie, which is another Batman movie, because that's, again, appeals to the Batman fans. That's it. And truly, if we're going to be honest about stuff, Matt Reeves' the Batman ain't nowhere near what Ben Affleck's the Batman would have been. Because Matt Reeves recycled everything. We've seen the Penguin like 100 million times. We've seen Catwoman like 100 million times. We've seen Joker like 100 million times. And we've seen the Riddler like 100 million times. How many times we need to see the same characters over and over and over and over and over again? Ben was going to bring Deathstroke as the main villain. Batgirl was going to be in there. Batgirl had been on screen with Batman and Robin, so there had been a Batgirl. But nonetheless, Batgirl would have been in there. All right? It would have been different. We all know this. Okay? Something fresh, something new, something different. Arc something said something. Let me see what you said, bro. Leaky's Lifestyle said, yeah, Christopher Reeve's Superman was clumsy. I didn't find him goofy. He was goofy. Why Arc9 says Zack Snyder didn't do a good take on Lex Luthor. Okay, that's your opinion, bro. That's your opinion. You can have an opinion. Nobody's saying you can't have an opinion. But here's the facts. Lex Luthor of BVS successfully killed Superman. No Lex Luthor in any film on the screen has ever killed Superman. Lex Luthor in BVS successfully sabotaged Superman. This Lex Luthor was able to know that Darkseid was coming. This Lex Luthor was able to manipulate Batman into filling him with fear of losing his family and xenophobia to almost kill Superman. He did fail in that, but he had a backup plan with Doomsday. So these are just facts. Okay, bro? These are facts. Another fact is Zack modernized Lex Luthor to be like our Mark Zuckerberg. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to be real with you. Guys like Mark Zuckerberg, guys like, what's his name? The guy who does MSN. Microsoft. Who's the head of Microsoft? Somebody help me. Bill Gates. These guys are diabolical. Bill Gates is manipulating the vaccine industry. That COVID thing benefited Bill Gates. He a nerdy looking guy. He looks like he's all about doing good for mankind, a philanthropist, blah, but underneath, he's diabolical. And that was Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, you know, he was very eccentric and his hair was like a mop moving around. And it seemed as though he was helping people left, right, and center. But every now and then you see the little sneer on his face. He's trying to camouflage who he really was, which we saw on the top of Lex Corp when he confronted Superman in what to me was an Emmy award-winning, Academy Award-winning performance by Jesse Eisenberg, how he mixed comedy with terror, with threats, with his complete control and dominance over Superman. It was an incredible performance. You can say what you want about Jesse Eisenberg before that, how awkward he was, socially awkward and all that. But god damn, that Lex Corp tower top scene with Superman was boss. This man had me laughing and scared at the same time. I was laughing in fear. How this motherfucker manipulated Superman. Okay? That was an incredible performance. And you can say what you want, but these are just, to me, well, except for the performance, facts. Okay? The performance is my perception of the performance. I said it was an incredible performance. That's not a fact necessarily. That's my impression of it. But he controlled Superman and dominated him. Superman wanted to burn him to goddamn oblivion. And he was like, all right, burn me up, but you're never going to save your mother. And he says, where is she? He's like, I don't know. They never told me. This dude was ahead of Superman, so many steps ahead of him all the time. You know, this motherfucker ahead of everybody. They put him in prison, all kinds of stuff, and he's still ahead of the game. He's like, the God is dead. Batman's going to try and burn him with the thing. And he realizes he ain't doing shit to Lex. Lex is like 7 steps ahead of him. He's like playing chess. They playing checkers. Ninja, that ninja is bad. Lex is still alive. Of all the villains in the DCEU, the only villain that survives so far in this movie so far, in the series of movies, is Lex Luthor. Yo, I mean, come on now. Come on now. You know, y'all talk about Civil War, but at the end of Civil War, the guy who was trying to get revenge, he didn't get the revenge he wanted. And he ended up, you know, getting incarcerated or whatever. And, you know, he was like, you know, this will never be. Dude's a joke. Lex Luthor knew he was going to get incarcerated. He didn't fucking care. And he threatened Batman. Oh, he's coming. He's coming. And when Batman took off and left, he rushed to the edge of the jail cell. And again, he was very funny with the ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. It was funny, but it was terrifying at the same time. Because this motherfucker, he's ready to make a deal with the devil. To see the downfall of mankind so that he could get in control. This motherfucker was crazy. And yet at the same time, he's smart, real smart. He's like levels ahead of everybody. And so that's the shit that's happening in the world today. The people who are at the top are fucking crazy. They're genocidal. Right now, just think about what's happening with Free Palestine. I'm going to kind of segue into Free Palestine for a second here. It's crazy. How could you be killing human beings, torturing them, fellow human beings like yourself, and saying, oh, we're the victim? You're trying to censor people in America. Now, Mr. James Bowman just lost his seat in New York State recently. This is happening in real time. This is real stuff. BVS is real. BVS is talking about xenophobia. It's talking about people talking about themselves being victims when they're actually the oppressors. Like, you guys got to see how deep these movies really are. That Zach, they put some thought into this shit. Zach right now is the Prince of Saudi Arabia wants Zach to do a movie on the UFC. He requested Zack Snyder by name. Why somebody in Saudi Arabia thinking about Zack Snyder because a lot of the Islamic world, the Muslim world, feel like Superman. They feel like exiles among people. Islamophobia is growing at a greater rate than anti-Semitism. Let me say it again. And it's not, I'm not Muslim. Okay, I'm not Muslim. I'm a Christian. Okay? So I don't benefit by saying this. This is not Islamic propaganda. In fact, I have Jewish lineage. I have Jewish lineage through Portugal. Some of my family's from Portugal. Okay, I have Jewish lineage. So if there's anybody say anything about anything, I shouldn't be talking about Islam like this. But if you have come from Judeo-Christian roots, or you have had, or you were, you follow the Torah, there's no way in God's green earth you're going to look at another fellow human being like yourself and not empathize with them. I empathize with the people in Israel who are silenced. They cannot speak out. And I have friends who have been doing some wonderful things, and they don't even think about war. And they're against this war. I can tell you that right now. People are talking about 95% of Israelis, and the majority of Israelis are for this war. That's a lie. It's a downright lie. I'm going to keep on saying that over and over again. It's just that they're not emboldened enough to speak out. Because just like in the United States, people can lose their jobs, people can be put into prison, right? It's getting very Gestapo out there. It's a very much a police state out there when you say certain things that are taboo. In Israel, it's like 50 to 100 times worse. Okay? You got to have belly to stand up out there. Otherwise, you will end up in their prisons. And you don't want to go to an Israeli prison. They torture you. They do you all kinds of wicked things. It doesn't matter if you're Israeli. It doesn't matter. There's an Israeli teacher. This was very early who used to have his students correspond with kids in Palestine. And he put up a Facebook post on social media. And they arrested him and put him in prison without trial. It was the court that overturned that. That's why he came out of prison. They're targeting people over there. You hear about the far right in the United States of America and how they're not using logic and reasoning anymore. They're past that. They're now in a time where they're brainwashed into whatever their cubicle is, and they're going with that. That's what's going on. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump didn't say a lot of really true things about Washington, D.C. He was right. He had a lot of good things that he did, and there's a lot of good things he said. So I'm not against Donald Trump for some of the policies he implemented, but there's a lot of things. He's just a tremendously dangerous guy. Okay? Tremendously dangerous guy. Joe Biden has proven to us twice. Not once, but twice. During the COVID, this motherfucker sold us out. Said that the COVID vaccine is safe. Fauci, another criminal responsible for millions of lives dying from the COVID vaccine, also certified that. Because they were both collecting money off of these things. This big scheme that happened, what we call the plandemic, which it really was. But let's keep it moving. Now, we see again this motherfucker selling out people, passing laws and allowing laws to be passed in Congress, saying that criticizing Israel, what we call anti-Zionism, is anti-Semitism. Trying to stop people from protesting in colleges and universities over the war in Palestine, in which the Palestinian people, a lot of them are dying. If Israelis were killing Hamas combatants, that's fair game because it's a war. But when you are killing thousands upon thousands, well, Hundreds upon thousands now, I believe it is, because there's a lot of people buried under the rubble. When I see how they treat these people, they have them as human shields. They have them on top of their bonnets of their cars. They have them in their barcodes where they're digging up stuff and they're just digging up bodies and just carrying the bodies wherever. This is worse than Nazi Germany. They were burying them in mass graves. Well, we found mass graves around the Al-Shifa hospital. Around several hospitals and UN buildings. They've been mass burying people. This is horrific, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that this is not something that happens in the Congo. It hasn't happened in Sudan, but we condemn it when it happens. Right now, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Somalia, what's happening in the Congo, they're all atrocious things. How is it when it comes to Israel, it's not atrocious? Pause. I was talking to another Zionist and he saw that I was talking about Rebel Moon. And he said Rebel Moon is a trash movie. And I said, of course you would call it a trash movie. We know what it is with you. We know that what the mother world was. The mother world is Israel, occupying Palestine, particularly in the occupied territories, which are Palestinian territories. It's one thing to say we have a state of Israel. It's another thing to have Israeli military IDF or IOF forces in Palestine, occupying Palestine and building settlements illegally in Palestine. That's a totally different story. And it shows us that the Israelis, at least I can't go against the people because I have friends in Israel. So I'm not going to ever go against the people. But the people who create the policies, the government, the military, the system, I'm not against the people. People have, they can get brainwashed. They can be sheep. They can follow certain things. It's just like, I don't get it. I'm not against the people of Germany. I'm against the system that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis formulated. It's the system that's dangerous. That's the people have to conform to the system. And when you're in a system, you can't see what the system is until you step aside or something checks that system for you to realize what it was. I was a huge supporter of Israel. Huge. Until my eyes were open. And, well, a picture says 1,000 words. My eyes were open. I knew the ugliness of war, but this is just terrible. What happened in Iraq was abominable. And George Bush has to be held accountable for that. What happened in Afghanistan is abominable. And Barack Obama has to be held accountable for that. And Hillary Clinton needs to be held accountable for what happened in Libya. And what's happening in Syria, again, these people need to be held accountable for. And the system. That's America. But Israel's been working hand in hand with the CIA. Even when you see any deals, the CIA is always working with Mossad. They've been working together for a long time. That's why the Palestinian Initiative, aka the Israeli Project, is in America's best interest because they work hand in hand. They're like the eyes and ears of America and the Western European nations who are playing possum with us. They're playing games with us. Look what Germany's doing. They're shaking their hands. Their Nazis came from Germany. That's why they don't give a fuck about this genocide that's happening in Palestine. I'm going to be straight with y'all. Straight with y'all. And the people of the world can see this. Lots of people. And we have to push back. What happened to Jamal Bowman must not happen again. If you got the civic duty, go do it. Now, I don't really think she's the best candidate out there, but this is the person y'all need to use to buck the system. Dr. Jill Stein, the head of the Green Party. And we got to pray to God when she gets into government, she really does what she says. And she doesn't just conform to the system and become part of the swamp again. She's been protesting for human rights in all kinds of ways. I'm not really supportive of her with the LGBTQ thing, but hey, whatever. We got so many evils right now. To pick between two devils, I prefer to have a woman in power there who, she don't speak the greatest. She not really the most convincing, but God damn it, Americans, you don't want Bush, and you not Bush. What the hell is his name? Trump. And you sure as hell don't want Biden. You better pick Jill Stein. She's the only one that has a party that can do something. And the Democrats have been trying to get her to disenfranchise in Arizona and so on. But that's your go-to. And you guys got to rock behind her. We got time. We got about, what's it now? July, August, September, October. We got that. You got to know who all the people are of the Green Party. Also, the squad. Don't let AOC and these people down. Y'all need to vote for them. If you're from New York, bring out your numbers. The people versus corporate interest. This is a lobbying group that's a foreign lobbying group called the Israeli Lobby Section, which involves AIPAC and several other groups. Y'all need to make sure, one, that elections are clean and fair, that these motherfuckers are not fucking with the vote. And two, y'all need to make sure, y'all need to have eyes and ears in that, and you need to have eyes and ears and motivate people from the grassroots up. I don't give a fuck if you from the country. I don't give a fuck if you from the city. Take back your fucking country. It's America. It's a democratic country. It's a republic. Then take back your fucking country. I watched a Republican congressman win his seat over AIPAC special interests. It can be done. But y'all need to team up. Republicans and Democrats, y'all need to team up if you want to take back your fucking country. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of corrupt senators and a lot of corrupt congressmen in Washington, D.C. bowing the knee to Israel. And it will not reflect on you, the people of America, and your best interests. Another thing, they reenacted the draft. For all the young people out there, this is time for civil disobedience. If all of you say, fuck your draft, I'm not going nowhere, that's what'll happen. Now, I know some of you need loans and all kinds of shit, but y'all need to take a stand. You need to show what democracy really is. The majority will win because the majority will say no. I know the majority of you in the United States of America do not want this war, want a ceasefire, point blank, period. This is not a popular war right now, and it's one of the most highest profile wars in the world right now. And this is a war over real estate. In fact, in Israeli media, they're already selling off property in Gaza and inviting people to come to Gaza to settle there. So fuck what you heard. Y'all need to make sure and put up a stand. The ICJs do, okay, all of these organizations are Western European organizations. So there's going to be some compromise with these people. They're just kind of showboating to sort of make you believe. But you, the people, need to put pressure on these motherfuckers. And listen, if they will not listen, you have to vote them out. I'm seeing a lot of right-wingers in Ireland and all across Europe winning elections. And these right-wingers will align with the present prime minister of Israel, because he's also aligned himself with the far right. There's a rise in the far right, and I get it. I understand. It's been orchestrated and planned for a while. But I'm going to say this to y'all. If you're in the far right, then you should be concerned and you should be happy to not have a police state. That means arm yourself up to the tooth and nail. I know you country folk like to shoot guns and shit, and some of y'all went to war. So arm yourself up, because just in case they try to pull a police state on y'all and have what do we call it? A state of emergency. Y'all better be armed up. Okay. The next thing I want to say to my veterans, it's time you guys protect your nation. And what I mean by this is, if you find that free rights are being violated, etc., just like with Hezbollah and Hamas, y'all need to take up arms and protect those rights. If there's a pushback on the people trying to bully unarmed civilians and are killed, we now know in Washington, D.C., 2 civilians were killed for protesting. I think it was the Palestinian war as well, protesting, and they got shot or killed and they were lying dead. This is getting bloody and so on, because Israel has been exposed for what it is, a pariah state. And Israel is the center of the Western presence in the Middle East. And if that gets overthrown, which is more than likely going to happen, and Saudi Arabia takes over that spot, and Egypt, what's going to happen is these Zionists will have to disperse. And their center of power will already be taken from them because they're not going to stay there. So the people who stay in Israel, and they're going to build all this propaganda about Islam is taking over there and all that kind of bullshit, but don't believe it. Don't believe it. What'll happen is it will just normalize the democratic state. It will not be it may be still called Israel. It may not be still called Israel, but it'll be democratic state and the Zionists, and they will not be running the shots anymore. They'll have to move away, just like what happened with South Africa. Okay. And that will be a win for the world. That will be a win for humanity. That's why I'm on board. Even though I have a Jewish kind of ancestry and I have Christian upbringing, this is not about that. This is not about, in a way it is about it, because the golden rule should be the rule we abide by for life. And I'm a westernized person. I'm not an Eastern person, but this is just humanity. This is what I love about Zack Snyder. Humanity. If you are a human being, if you're a person, you should be treated with respect and dignity. Unless you are violating other human beings' rights. So, by and large, you guys need to come together. You guys need to unite. And whether it's in entertainment, whatever it is in, you guys, it's very important. And you see, we have a voice. And what we say does matter. You've seen it. You've seen these powerful people who don't listen to us, usually, they have to change their policy. We've seen the ICJ rule that it's possible that it's a genocide. The ICJ still hasn't ruled that it's a genocide. After everything that's happened, all the footage that's there, this is clearly a genocide that's going on. It's clearly a genocide. It's the same kind of ethnic cleansing that happened in Albania. For those of you who know, the Christians in Albania were ethnically cleansed from Albania. And all of these low-profile stuff, if this shit gets dealt with properly, this can handle all the other shit that hasn't been dealt with properly. Because the book's not closed on any of those. But if you're saying that Israel gets a pass, then everybody else gets a pass. You can't be inconsistent out here. And you can't bully people. So if it's going to be the fucking Wild Wild West, let me know. I'm going to arm up. And we'll do the Wild Wild West gunslinging, and the last man standing will stand. But if it's not the Wild Wild West, then, for God's sake, keep your integrity and and as they say, keep the same attitude for everybody. And that's what we're seeing in the world today. We're seeing that America can't just bully everyone into what it wants. No, the world is multilateral. This is what Superman's story, that's what BVS was about. Just because you got all this power in the world doesn't mean you can do whatever you fucking feel like doing. That's why Senator Finch invited Superman to the hearing. And what did he do? He went. He wasn't so pompous and arrogant that he didn't go. He went because the whole purpose of him being there and for him being a Superman is to inspire people. It's not to dominate them. It's not to rule over them. It's to work with them. And if you call yourself a superpower, by the way, Russia is a superpower and so is China. Economic superpower is China. Russia is a fucking force to reckon with. You ain't going to just take down Russia just like that. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, my point is, regardless of, how much power you have, it's to serve other people. So, at the end of the day, these movies say a lot. Now, some people to defend a movie, they start to fluff up shit and talk shit and conjure up shit, from their imagination. That's not what these movies are. That's why people like Zack Snyder's movies. That's why Restore the Snyderverse is the only way to actually save DC. And I don't give a fuck how you feel about Zack Snyder. I couldn't care less. But the one thing you got to acknowledge is he does things differently. Whether you think he's superficial or not, whether you think he's a Michael Bay or not. And you got to acknowledge it. After seeing what James Gunn is trying to bring to the table, he's trying to be innovative like Zack Snyder, but he can only do Gunn. We realize it's not just anybody can do this with DC. Oh, Zack Snyder did. Oh, yeah, anybody can do it in DC. No, it's not like that. Not anybody can do Superman. Richard Donner was a special guy. He brought something new to the table, and they fired him for it. Now everybody want to worship Richard Donner after he's dead and gone, and his corpse is rotting in the grave. Now y'all want to worship and tribute to that? Fuck out of here. When the man was alive, why didn't you let him do Superman 2? Why didn't you take it from him, Warner Brothers? And now you want to do tribute to him? And now you want to bring Christopher Reeve back from the dead? And now you're trying to capture the happy and gladness that only Richard Donner could do? Patty Jenkins tried, she failed. Joss Whedon tried, he failed. You think James Gunn's gonna succeed? I'm Christ, I am disciple. Sorry about the cursing and swearing. But my point being this. DC has always been something where you're going to see something more than just a fucking superhero movie. Road to Perdition. A History of Violence. Joker. Always more. Constantine. Red. Batman 1989. Batman Returns. Man of Steel. Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman. Zack Snyder's Justice League. These films that I just mentioned to you are DC films that did very well. Dark Knight. Batman Begins. The Dark Knight Rises. These are all films that took themselves seriously because they had a message. Something for us to think about and consider. Something we didn't see before. That's DC. We got more. We got more films. I'm talking about the DC films that actually made money in the cinemas. Not talking about what the critics said. We don't give a fuck about the critics. Now, if the Academy Awards say something, okay, I'm going to pay attention to that. But I'm not going to pay attention to those stupid critics. Because the critics didn't get Joker, which won an Academy Award. The critics didn't get a History of Violence, which was nominated for Academy Award. I'm saying this to say that in this day and age, it's easy to criticize something. It's easy to speak bad about something. Do you notice I didn't speak bad per se about James Gunn and what his vision is and what he's trying to do? I did not. You know why? Because I am interested in what somebody is really trying to say. I want to know what they're trying to say first before I judge them. And a lot of y'all don't know what the hell Zack Snyder was saying. but you're judging him. Instead of asking a question, you're putting a label on the man for your ignorance, for your misunderstanding. Because you feel butthurt as a fanboy that he did not create the idol that you wanted to see and worship. And anybody knows my channel knows I'm against idol worship and graven images. I'm interested more in story. So like I said before, James Gunn, his story is going to be, and I explained to you what his story is and where I think he's approaching the story from. How Superman looks, that's up for you worshipers of image. Now, whether you think the story is good, whether you think that the money put into the cinematography and the stage, creation of stages and creation of outfits, you think that was worth the while. It's a totally different story. That's filmmaking. Which all of it looks cheap to me. All of it looks like cosplay, right? But where's his story coming from? What is he trying to say? If you don't know what James Gunn is trying to say or what he's saying, then you cannot judge the man. Every story puts forth itself to us. Every creation puts forth itself to it. Whether we agree with the creation, whether we like it, whether we vibe it or not. And that's something y'all and critics need to have respect for. So that when you speak, you tell the people what the story is, what it's really about, what this film is about. And now you can go about saying whether you think that the director and the writers were able to convey that to the audience. That is good storytelling. That is what makes a movie good. It is not, oh, this was too loud. And that means you didn't even get it. You didn't even get what the director was doing. Or you're intentionally misconstruing it because you got it already, but you decide to bash it because you've been paid to bash something that's good. I'll give you an example. I sell drinks. By the way, here's my drinks. Oh, by the way, this video is sponsored by Live or Live, L-I-V-E. That's my brand of drinks. If you are in Trinidad and Tobago, L-I-V-E brand of drinks. They're natural drinks made from the actual fruits. Yes, they are sweetened, but it's a limited amount of sugar, 22 grams to 500 mils. L-I-V-E. It's a brand that you guys are going to see a lot of over time. If you live in Trinidad, maybe it'll go global. Maybe it'll go regional. We'll see. It can be said be live. You can see it's either live now, or live now. We live, like how we live right now. So it's either way you want to look at it. Now, the point is, no preservatives. The flavors are sorrel, grapefruit, orange, fruit punch, and mobi. The point I'm making is this for you guys out there. You have the power to change things. Don't let these stupid ass elitist people tell you otherwise. They tell you, oh, you can't get a studio, to do what you want. And it's dangerous for studios to do whatever the fans want. That's bullshit. When the studio did, when Marvel Studios did what the fans wanted and were anticipating, did very well. When DC gave the fans the Snyder Cut as they asked, did very well. Studios, entertainment is all for the people. It's a service. When you hijack it and you make it all about yourself and your ego, as Warner Brothers is doing still to this day with DC, you will find nobody will support you. No one. No matter what you do. It's supposed to be a service for the people. Democracy. It's for the people. Power to the people. The spirit of it is for the people. You're not going to entertain guests if the guests don't feel good about your entertainment. You invite people to your home, you talk about hospitality, you give them cockroaches to eat. I don't care how well you think you serve them up. And they see it's cockroach, and people are like, is this a cockroach in the plate? Yeah, but it's delicious. Try it. The guests will leave your house. They won't eat your cockroaches. What we're getting coming up with the Superman movie is a cockroach, and we know this. The only James Gunn movie I actually enjoyed was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The open credits where a little grub was just dancing away in his own world. It's funny. The sacrifice by, Star-Lord's adopted father. When his real father, Ego, the planet, was a genocidal maniac. Right? I got it. I got what James Gunn was trying to do. And I enjoyed the fact that somebody doesn't need to be a biological father. Now, of course, Zack Snyder did it in Man of Steel a long time ago. But point is that I enjoyed it. But that's about it. I never really enjoyed any of James Gunn's stuff. Turns me off. I don't like his humor. I don't like the way how his characters are, overly dramatic, over dramatizing things, overacting, in my opinion. I don't like that. I don't really particularly like much Marvel movies to begin with. Because I'm not a Marvel fan, really. I'm a DC fan. So when you roll up into DC, my territory, James Gunn rolls up into my territory and is doing this Marvel shit that I really don't like. Why would I watch that? Why, am I trying to hurt myself? Am I trying to leave the cinema quarreling and cursing and swearing and angry that I went and watched something that I should not have watched? No, I'm not going to do that. Okay? So, Leaky Live Streams, Leroy Cog, and YARC9, I thank you guys for coming through and saying your piece. Everybody has different tastes in movies. If Zack Snyder's not your thing, it's not your thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you must be able to realize it's not my thing. It's not that he's a bad director. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. Just like I don't think James Gunn is a bad director. I just don't vibe with what he does. I don't. And I think he's going to find out real soon, if he hasn't already, that a lot of DC fans don't like him. Not because personally they don't like him per se, but they don't like his movies. They're not really fans of it. Now you have some DC fans who are Gunn fans. They're very vocal about it and they like it, what he does. Fine. Then go watch it. But I'm not going to watch something I don't like. That would just tick me off. And why would I want to do that? It's entertainment. I'm supposed to enjoy it. So Gunn has an uphill battle to convince people that he can do a Superman movie. And as a result, but the thing about it is, here's the thing. Now, Gunn doesn't want anything else competing with his movie, apparently. He's trying to wipe the slate clean with everything else, unless it's something associated with him. And he's hoping that either the next generation or Marvel fans will come to his aid. I'm going to say this to James Gunn and to all these people. Do that. Nobody's telling you not to do that. But here's what you need to do. If you're going to do that, you have to make sure that there are provisions to restore the Snyderverse, because Warner Bros. Can't take another flop. And even if DC buys over the DC brand, I'm sorry, if Disney buys over the DC brand from Warner Bros. Or buys over Warner Bros. Like it did Fox, ain't nobody gonna go see that DC shit. Nobody's gonna go see it, regardless, because Fox is going down the fucking tubes because Disney is in control of Fox. So I really don't want Disney to buy over Warner Bros. Universal, if Universal gets it, well, that's good. Hopefully they fire everybody that's there and start off fresh. But honestly speaking, you know, it's the majority of people are not excited about DC. That's why I said DC's dead. Even the Batman movie, I think they're going to have the Batman 2 sequel at some point. They talking about the Penguin coming out. You know, you see some people with the, you know, over compensating hype for, you know, the Penguin series. And I'm watching the Penguin series like, this is boring. This is the same thing like Gotham. Just even more boring. You know, nothing's really exciting me about what I saw with the Penguin series. Nothing. And they're gonna say, well, it's a grounded movie, and it's yeah, but what does it bring to the table? Same old feud, same old mafia feud that we used to, same old fucking mafia movie. Come on, man. We seen The Godfather like 700 million times. We seen Scarface. We seen Gotham. You ain't bringing nothing new to the table, bro. So, you know, here's what it is. Restoring the Snyderverse will actually get back excitement into DC. As it is right now, DC's a heap of trash. Here's your steaming heap of trash, according to Tyrone Magnus. Right? Star Wars is a steaming heap of trash. Star Wars is the same thing. No hope in Star Wars. And then the MCU, they struggling too. The most recent set of movies not been doing well. You know? So, you want to bring back some life into DC. Zack Snyder back. Henry Cavill back. Ben Affleck back. Cavill should have a movie. Affleck should have his movie. Snyder need to finish the series. And anything else the fans want. You know? And I'm going to say this now. I'm going to say something that's controversial. Some of you will agree, some of you disagree. Zack Snyder, I believe, is not an Elseworld director. He's the canon director. Y'all started off with Man of Steel. Y'all not going to reset with another Superman movie, but he was canon. He started the whole DCEU. So he's canon. And his movie, Zack Snyder Justice League, for me, is canon. Not that horrible piece of shit that they call Justice League 2017. And that's how I feel about it. I'm going to catch you guys later. Free Palestine. I'm staying on that side. I know that's the right side of history. I know that's where humanity is. Do I think that the Jews of the world will be all troubled if Israel is dismantled, at least the apartheid state of Israel? No, I don't think so. In fact, I'm pretty sure some of them continue to live in what is known now as Israel amongst the Palestinians, and it'll be fine. South Africans lived amongst the Germanic South Africans lived amongst the native African South Africans, and they're doing fine. Okay, so I see that happening as well with Palestine, but it's just the struggle to get there, and to get some of the Zionist people out of power where they could continue to cause a lot of problems. So that's what I got for you guys. I am Christ, I am Disciple. I have an associated channel that's What You Need. If you want to donate to this channel, you can donate via PayPal. I think the link's in the description. If you guys want to talk more about DC, we can talk about DC. I know some people, when I put up stuff on Facebook, they're like, I don't want to talk about Palestine. Why do you talk about Palestine? Leave the political commentary out of this and blah, 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 blah. And I say, well, hey, man, I'm free to do whatever the hell I want to do. So I'm doing this. Have a problem with that? Don't have to watch. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? I'm not forcing anyone to watch my stuff. If you don't like what I'm saying, click on something else. It's freedom of speech. It's my goddamn channel. I can do whatever the hell I want with my channel. It's mine. Shoot, if you don't like that, you do it. You do something on your channel. Yeah, fair enough. Fair is fair. Do I think that a lot of you out here can make a difference by becoming more vocal on anything? I don't care what it is. Yes, you have a goddamn voice. God is giving you a voice. Speak up. Now, some of you like to use your voice for evil, meaning trolling and causing arguments and creating strife. Okay, it's still your voice. You have the freedom to do what you want. Others of you try to do constructive things, try to encourage people. I'm a mixture of both. Sometimes I do evil in the sense that I'm poking fun of people and doing, clowning people and stuff, and I shouldn't do that, knowing that. And there's other times when I use it for good. Ultimately, this video is all about doing it for good. Best, whatever is best for DC, whatever is best for different people. My point is, as much as I'm disappointed that James Gunn is the head of DC, I'll say this. DC has always had room, and still does, for their characters to be interpreted different ways. If you do think about the comic books, you would have 2-3 different comic books coming out month after each other by different writers. And the series is run consecutively side by side. Can happen. Even though DC has lost one of the better illustrators and comic book writers of late, my point is that DC, Sweet Tooth was great, by the way. I watched Sweet Tooth, and that's a DC TV show. Fantastic. Had all the elements, the stakes, the emotion, tremendously emotional movie. The depth, it's a great movie. And my point being that, and the ending was really good. It was a really good ending. But the point I'm making is this. Warner Brothers can produce some really quality stuff if they want. I see they're trying with Beetlejuice and all these things, but some of that stuff is not going to cut it. I'm just going to tell you now. But if you add the Snyderverse to that, if you continue the Snyderverse, if you restore the Snyderverse, a lot of people are going to watch it. And you're going to make a lot of money off of it, Warner Brothers. You're just going to do that. Your stock's going to go up. And just a lot of good things are going to happen. A lot of y'all are afraid of Zack Snyder because he says stuff that a lot of people don't like. Because he will say the truth. Because he's a humanist. And a lot of people don't like that. But he tell you things about yourself you don't want to hear. And that's okay. That's how you get a realization and you come to terms with the truth of yourself and of other people. So that's what I got for you guys. It's an hour and 13 minutes and 37 seconds in. God bless you guys. I have love for you, all of you. I don't care if you agree or disagree with me. Humanity comes first. Jesus came to die for us. So therefore we should be able and willing to put our lives down for each other. Because collectively, I'm a quote Batman. I don't care how many demons he's fought or how many hells. And when I say he, I'm talking about the people who y'all say are so powerful and we don't really have a say in things and stuff. He never fought us. Not us united. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.